candidate for Port Moody Coquitlam, and as it was said, families are being pushed out of their communities. Families, seniors, persons with disabilities, young people, all hurting because the housing has been treated like a stock market, not a basic human right. Houses are for people to live in, not a place for wealthy investors and big corporations to park their money for profit. That's why I fought those investors in Ottawa, those big corporations, every step of the way. And that's exactly what New Democrats are fighting for. We're fighting for you. Your housing needs to be affordable again. We need leaders who will stand up to these speculators, close the loopholes, and make sure every home is built for people, not for profit. That's why I'm so proud to introduce someone who has always fought for housing as a right, not as a privilege for the few. So, someone who will always put people first. I am so proud to introduce the leader of the New Democratic Party, Jagmeet Singh.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, Benita, and thank you to the incredible candidates that are here with me today. These are just some of the fighters that are going to fight for you in Ottawa. Here's a big problem. We've got speculators and foreign investors that are buying up homes here in Canada. And Mark Carney, he's got a candidate, Mark Wiens, who's openly talking about big money investors from other countries buying up Canadian-made homes. We've got Bob Rennie saying that he is working with Mark Carney to open up the Canadian housing market for more big money investors from other countries to buy up homes that should be for you and your family. That means fewer homes for you and your family and bigger profits for these speculators and these investors. That's going to make it harder for you to find a home. That is bad news. Imagine you're a young person. Imagine you're a young couple. Imagine you're a family trying to buy your first home. And you find out you're going up against a hedge fund with billions of dollars. You're not going to be able to win that bidding war. And it's going to drive up the costs even more. And so where Mark Carney has not committed to extending the ban on foreign ownership of Canadian-made homes, instead it's going to expire. And so here's our plan. We're going to make it permanent, the ban on big money investors buying up Canadian homes. That should be a ban. Homes in Canada should be for you and your family, not for rich investors to get richer. In addition, we're going to end the loophole that allows speculators to flip homes year after year. That's got to stop. It just drives up the cost of homes and it makes it more expensive and impossible for everyday folks to buy a home. The thing is, we're in it for you. So we're going to put forward ideas that make it easier for you and your family to buy a home. We're not interested in billionaires making lots of money off of housing. We're not interested in investors and speculators driving up the cost of homes. We want to put a stop to that so that you and your family can actually afford a home. Sadly, Mark Carney, he's not in it for you. He's going to let foreign owners buy up Canadian homes. He's going to let people like Bob Rennie and Mark Wiens sell off Canadian homes to the highest bidders. And that means less homes for you, means more profits for them. We're going to fight back. Donc, on est dans une crise avec une crise du logement tellement sérieux. Et dans cette crise, ce qu'on voit maintenant, c'est le fait que Mark Carney a des candidats comme Mark Wiens qui proposent de vendre les maisons ici au Canada aux riches investisseurs des autres pays. On a Bob Rennie qui parle qu'il travaille ensemble. Il travaille ensemble avec Mark Carney pour vendre des maisons construites ici au Canada aux riches investisseurs à travers le monde. Ça veut dire moins de maisons pour vous, plus de profit pour eux. La spéculation et les riches investisseurs, ce n'est pas eux qu'on doit défendre. On doit défendre les gens, on doit favoriser les gens. Et ça, c'est pourquoi notre plan aujourd'hui, c'est de rendre permanent l'interdiction contre les riches investisseurs qui achètent les maisons qui viennent des autres pays. On va garder les maisons au Canada pour les Canadiens. On va garder les maisons ici au Canada pour vous et votre famille. Malheureusement, Mark Carney n'est pas là pour vous. Ça, c'est pourquoi vous avez besoin de néo-démocrates. Dans cette élection, vous avez un choix important. Si vous envoyez un néo-démocrate à Ottawa, comme les néo-démocrates à côté de moi, vous allez avoir un allié, quelqu'un qui va défendre vos intérêts. And that's why it's so important in this election. The question in this election is, who's going to make sure that you and your family can actually afford a home? who's going to say no to rich investors with deep pockets from other countries buying up homes here in Canada, instead saying these homes should be left for you and your families, should be for Canadians to buy. And one more thing. We've just learned recently that an American billionaire, owner of Blackstone, has finalized a deal to buy up Canadian telecommunications infrastructure. This is a question of national security. This is fundamentally wrong. We have to defend our Canadian infrastructure, especially telecommunications. Keep it Canadian, keep it ours. We can't let a foreign billionaire, an American billionaire, particularly one who is a supporter and closely connected to Donald Trump, who is attacking our very sovereignty, we can't let him buy up our infrastructure. So I'm calling on Mark Carney today to initiate immediately a review of this purchase based on national security, which would cause for an immediate pause of this sale. We have to defend our country, we have to defend our infrastructure, and that's what New Democrats are going to do. Et finalement, je veux ajouter, il y a un milliardaire américain qui est en train d'acheter de infrastructures de télécommunications ici au Canada en achetant Rogers. Je pense que c'est tort de faire ça. Il est tort de faire ça parce qu'on doit défendre notre infrastructure canadienne contre des achats des investisseurs américains, des investisseurs étrangers. Ça, c'est notre infrastructure. On doit les défendre. Donc, aujourd'hui, je demande que Mark Carney commence une enquête immédiatement pour enquêter l'impact sur notre sécurité nationale. Et cette enquête va mettre pause à cette vente. Pour nous, c'est toujours important de défendre notre pays et notre infrastructure. Merci and thank you. With that, I'm ready for any questions you might have.
Merci beaucoup. On va maintenant passer à la période de questions des journalistes. Une question et une relance par journaliste. We'll now take the questions from the press. One question and one follow-up per journalist. We'll begin with David Baxter, Canadian Press.
Good morning, Mr. Singh. Earlier this morning, we saw Pierre Poilievre talking about how he also would go after offshore tax havens, similar to your policy you announced earlier. Now, we've seen a concerted effort from the Conservatives to go after some of those orange-blue flipper ridings, especially with appeals to more blue-collar workers. With now also talking about this tax policy, are you worried about Poilievre launching a strategy similar to what Doug Ford successfully did in Ontario for the past few elections?
Well, I think more and more Canadians are looking at Pierre Poilievre's plan, his plan to cut the things that you need like healthcare, and how that's going to be bad for them, bad for their families. We're seeing more and more Canadians rejecting Pierre Poilievre's policies, which would hurt our country and hurt Canadian families. But people are also worried about Mark Carney. I'm hearing it more and more. People are saying, you know what, I'm worried about what he's talking about. I'm worried about the cuts he's proposing to healthcare. It's going to be bad for my family. We need investments in healthcare. Healthcare is so important to me. It's such a Canadian value. We want it to be strong. We believe in a healthcare system that's public and universal, and cuts is going to hurt that. So people are worried about that. They're also worried when they learned that he was the chair of a company which was the biggest tax dodger in our country. The fact that he was the chair that approved of decisions to avoid paying taxes. We learned that just in 3 years, Brookfield Investments made $1 billion in profits and paid zero taxes in 3 years. Throughout the tenure while Mark Carney was the chair, and as you know, the chair approves the decisions made by the CEO. The chair and the board approved that together. That while he was in that position, they avoided paying $5 billion in taxes. And why is this a problem? Well, every amount of money that these big corporations don't pay means less money for investments in housing, means less investments in hiring nurses, doctors, and frontline healthcare workers. It means less public services that we count on. It means that these companies are starving our system, and it's wrong. And then you've got a person who was chair of that just a couple months ago. He was the chair of this company, and they're worried that, well, how is he going to crack down on tax avoidance and these loopholes and offshore tax havens when he was the chair of a company that was one of the biggest tax dodgers? I think those are legitimate concerns that Canadians are raising.
Thank you. Next question, Ashley Berg, CBC.
Good morning, Mr. Singh. Pollster David Coletto suggested that your own riding here is in jeopardy because of how far the NDP has fallen in the polls in BC. Do you have any concerns about winning your own riding?
This is a really important election, and I think there's a really important choice for Canadians right now. We're seeing that folks are rejecting Pierre Poilievre. They're saying, you know, his plan is no good, his plan is going to hurt my family, it's going to hurt my country, and they're saying no to that. But people are looking at Mark Carney and saying, well, you know what, I'm worried about what Mark Carney will do. If you're worried about him and you're saying, I'm worried that Mark Carney is going to cut the things that I care about. I'm worried that he's the chair of a company that engaged in tax avoidance, a tax dodger, that I'm worried about what that means. Re-elect your New Democrat. You re-elect your New Democrat incumbents, elect New Democrats, send more New Democrats to Ottawa, because we're going to stand up and fight for you. If you want someone that's on your side, that's going to say, you know what, no, we're not going to let the things that we care about, the things that were so important to us, be cut. Send more New Democrats to Ottawa.
Do you think you can win your own riding?
Absolutely. I'm confident that I'll be able to serve the people of Burnaby Central. And I'm also confident that people in this country need New Democrats. We saw that we were able to deliver things like health care expansions, including dental care and Medicare and medication coverage. We saw that through New Democrats, we were able to deliver things like protections for workers. We were only to be able to do that because you voted for us. You voted for New Democrats and you sent us there, and we were able to fight for you. So if you want those fights to continue, if you want us to stay in there fighting for you and your family, you got to vote for us.
En français, êtes-vous confiant pour votre circonscription?
Je suis confiant que je vais continuer de représenter mon comté. Et je sais qu'il y a une élection tellement importante, une question tellement importante dans cette élection. Qui va se battre pour vous? Et si vous avez peur des coupures proposées par Mark Carney, si vous avez peur qu'il était le président d'une entreprise qui a évité de payer leurs taxes, si vous avez peur, réélire vos députés sortant des néo-démocrates, envoyez plus de députés néo-démocrates pour vous défendre.
Thank you. Next question, Mike Lecouteur, CTV.
Mr. Singh, good morning. Your it was a Liberal candidate, Talib Mohammed, was endorsed by one of your former caucus members, Murray Rankin. How much does that bother you?
Well, I think it's wrong to suggest that in this time that we need less New Democrats. We need more New Democrats. You know, the things that we're proud of, the things that made our lives better, were because New Democrats were there. We saw what New Democrats have done throughout the history of this country. Every program that has made people's lives better, from healthcare to pensions to employment insurance, it's because you voted for New Democrats, you sent us to Ottawa, we got it done. And now, who do you want in Ottawa with all the uncertainty of Donald Trump, with all the attacks on our country? Who do you want there to say, hey, wait, no, don't cut our healthcare. Wait, we got to stand up for working people. They've got to be the priority, not the billionaires. That's New Democrats. That's us. Send more New Democrats to Ottawa, and we will fight for you, as we have before. You voted for us, we brought in dental care. You voted for us, we brought in medication coverage. Now people in BC are going to have free diabetes medication and devices. That's because you voted for us. Voting for New Democrats means we're on your side, we're going to fight for you.
Half your current caucus is from the province of BC. You're here for 2 nights, you're holding no rallies. Do you feel like you can't get the support and people out to support you right now at this time in the campaign?
Not at all. We're focused on events to showcase our policies. We're doing policy announcements. I'll be meeting with different communities, and we're looking forward to showing people the choice they have in this election. Really, it's an important choice. And the question comes down to, if you want someone on your side fighting for you in these uncertain and turbulent times, who's going to always put you and your family first? Who's always going to put workers first? Who's always going to put families and seniors first? That's us. Other guys are interested in the billionaires, they're interested in the CEOs and the big corporations. We're interested in fighting for you.
Si, prochaine question, Valérie Gamache, Radio-Canada.
Bonjour, Monsieur Singh. Il y a
Bonjour.
des voix conservatrices qui s'élèvent actuellement qui disent que envoyer un gouvernement libéral à Ottawa, c'est voter en quelque sorte pour la séparation de l'ouest du pays. Avez-vous l'impression, vous, que l'unité du pays est en danger dans cette élection-ci?
Non, au contraire, je pense qu'il y a une unité incroyable que j'ai vue pendant les attaques de Donald Trump, le fait que les Canadiens et Canadiennes veulent défendre notre pays, sont fiers d'être Canadiens, sont fiers de nos valeurs. Et c'est quoi nos valeurs qui représentent qui nous sommes? Une valeur, c'est le fait qu'on veut prendre soin les uns des autres, et la santé publique et universelle représente ces valeurs. Donc, on doit défendre ces valeurs. On doit défendre ce qui nous sommes. Et la façon de le faire, c'est d'élire des néo-démocrates qui vont défendre ces valeurs, qui vont défendre notre système de santé. No, in fact, I've seen the opposite. I've seen Canadians coming together in an incredible show of unity. I've seen so many Canadians showing resilience and resistance to the threats of Donald Trump. Canadians saying that, no, we're going to fight back and defend our country and defend our values. And one of those values is that we believe in taking care of each other. That's who we are as Canadians. And the way that we do that, the way we represent that value, is through our universal public health care. And so when you're making a choice in this election, Who's going to defend your actual values? The idea of taking care of each other and universal health care. That's a New Democrat.
Et puis, une des nouvelles conséquences qu'on voit de l'arrivée de Donald Trump à la Maison-Blanche, c'est une nouvelle vague de migrants illégaux, notamment par le chemin Roxham. Il y en a eu 200 la semaine dernière. Ça ressemble un peu aux chiffres qu'on avait là, quand on a décidé de fermer cette voie de passage. Craignez-vous qu'on vive une nouvelle crise migratoire avec les politiques actuellement qui sont adoptées du côté américain?
Oui, il y a des problèmes pour sûr. Donc, je pense que le gouvernement fédéral doit faire sa part pour de mettre en place les ressources nécessaires pour éviter ce qui s'est passé dans le passé. On doit avoir les ressources au niveau fédéral, les investissements nécessaires pour éviter ce qu'on a vu dans le passé.
Thank you. Next question, Regan Hasegawa, CTV.
Good morning, Mr. Singh. I just wanted to get your reaction to new Nanos research polling that shows that the NDP has just 8% support and is now at a 25-year low in terms of support for the federal party.
Well, this is an important election, and campaigns matter. So I want you to know, in this election, the choice is really important. That we've got all this uncertainty from Donald Trump and his attacks on workers, attacks on people. Who's going to stand up and defend your values? Who's going to say, you know what, I'm not going to let Mark Carney cut our health care. I'm not going to let Mark Carney let rich investors with deep pockets from other countries buy up homes that should go to Canadians. We're the only ones talking about those things. We're the only ones who are going to stand up for you. So send more New Democrats to Ottawa to defend the things that you care about that matter to you.
Do you feel that you've had enough of a presence in BC during this election campaign so far to show that the specific issues that matter to British Columbians are a top priority for you?
Well, we've got a number of weeks that remain, and so we're going to make sure we spend our time across this country. Of course, we've got a huge country, so we're trying to get everywhere and let people know that they've got a choice in this election. And for folks that are really worried, they're saying, you know what, I'm pretty sure that we're rejecting Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives, but I'm starting to get more and more worried about the cuts that Mark Carney's talking about. I'm worried about the fact that, you know, he was a chair of a company that profited off the housing crisis. I don't think he's going to be the one that will help fix the housing crisis. If you're someone that's worried about those things, re-elect your New Democrat MP, elect more New Democrats, send them to Ottawa, and we'll stand up and fight for you.
Thank you. Last question. Tell us your name and your media, please.
It's Joanne Lee Young from the Vancouver Sun. Mr. Singh, can you comment on the housing plan? How realistic is it? What will the major challenges be? How will you engage developers?
Yeah, we've laid out a broad plan with a number of different steps. And so just to kind of summarize some of the elements of it, one is we believe that the federal land that we have across this country can be used to build homes that are affordable, and that we should use all of our federal land to build 100% affordable homes. Unlike the other parties that are talking about selling off that land to developers and most of it not being affordable, I think that's wrong. We should keep it public, keep it owned by the people, and build affordable homes. We also know that we've got to build homes through private development, and to support that, we've laid out a fund. We're going to make the Housing Accelerator Fund, which has been working. We're going to double the amount there and make it permanent, call it the Canadian Homes Transfer. We're also going to help with the building of the infrastructure in municipalities. A lot of municipalities are ready to build homes, but they don't have the infrastructure, the water, the sewage, the other connections needed to build more homes. So we're proposing a community first fund that would actually build up the infrastructure necessary to build more homes. We're also today talking about how we keep the homes that are built for Canadians, for families, for people here instead of for rich investors. So that's making the ban on big money investors from foreign countries that are buying up Canadian homes, to make that permanent, to make that ban permanent, so people can actually afford a home. We're going to fight hard to make sure that people can actually afford a home. This is something really important to me. We've seen that the other parties haven't shown the same commitment to prioritizing people instead of rich investors. We're in it for you. We're always going to propose plans that make you the priority.
That concludes the press conference for today. Thank you. Merci. C'est ce qui conclut la conférence de presse pour aujourd'hui. Bonne journée.
Merci. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Merci.